Hey, how is everybody doing today? Got a really cool article that a friend dropped on Substack. Carrier Dove on Truth, or Elizabeth the Punisher Dove on Substack, released an article today called Con Inc. and the Red-Pilled Antifa, Part 1, Disinformation and Chaos for Hire. So let's get into it. All right. Con Inc. and the Red-Pilled Antifa, Part 1, Disinformation and Chaos for Hire. Would the average person recognize a PSYOP or PSYACT if they were specifically targeted by it? This was a question that came up months ago. I am not talking about the normal media brainwashing that we see by and large that target huge areas of the population. I am talking about the kind that targets specific individuals. I argue that most would not. Even the most trained intelligence agents, hard pause, even the most trained intelligence agent would probably have a hard time recognizing an op that was being run against them. For one, there is the emotional state attached to these ops. It is difficult to distance oneself from those emotional gut reactions and recognize the source of the attacks. For another, there is the element of confusion to it. It is designed to be that way. Other people might disagree with me on this assessment. In the end, it really doesn't matter if I'm right or if they are. What matters is identifying the PSYOP itself and leveling the playing field. So let me ask you, do you feel like you are in the middle of a PSYOP? Boone Cutler and General Flynn did a wonderful job in educating people on fifth-generation warfare and what it entails in their book. If you haven't read it, I would highly suggest that you do. But this particular article isn't a book review. It isn't an expansion of what we know of psychological operations. It is an outline of patterns of behavior within the movement that suggest that certain individuals have been targeted as part of a PSYOP. It is a story so large that I cannot write about everything in just one article. So I am attempting to give the highlights in the hopes that others can step forward and help fill in the gaps of missing information. I will leave a trail of breadcrumbs. It is your job to make a meal out of them. Hopefully, all will become clear in the near future. If you have never heard of Con Inc. and never considered that there could be a group of people that are equivalent to Red Pill Antifa, welcome to my world, up until a few weeks ago. I realize that we all had pieces of evidence to this. It was right in front of all of our faces. We missed it. We missed the clues, the news stories, and the patterns. I have never been one for interpreting comms, but now I read back and see them everywhere. We missed all the breadcrumbs that everyone was dropping right in front of our little noses. The picture was there. We just never pieced it together, and we all had pieces to this puzzle. Let's begin. How do you keep a stolen election once you've stolen it? Has anyone done a dig on Black Box? On November 22nd, 2022, Jeffrey Peterson, aka In the Matrix, made a post on Truth Social asking a single question. Has anyone done a dig on Black Box? Having never heard about this company, many on Truth Social were intrigued by this question. There was a lot of speculation. I'll scroll up a bit. Executive protection. Peace of mind to focus on what you do best. Black Box Security specializes in the different types of security needs of high-profile clients. Our commitment is to create a safe, secure, and stress-free environment that allows our clients to run their businesses, life, and professional responsibilities without interruption. Our agents are trained for assimilating into various changing environments. They possess the necessary skills to provide executive protection in an undercover fashion while performing counter-surveillance operations, or to deliver executive protection in an overt fashion to deter potential threats in any environment. We work with high-profile musicians on world tours, actors on and off set, safeguard public speeches, escort VIPs and their families on business and leisure trips, and safeguard against kidnapping in remote locations. Our agents are tactically trained in handling paparazzi, stalkers, and other similar threats. Our agents come from diverse military and special forces backgrounds, such as Israeli Security Agency, Shin Bet, Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Army, and Navy SEALs. This unique combination of different backgrounds and trainings ensures that our agents have the capacity to quickly adapt to any culture, apply their knowledge and experience to various situations, and protect our clients against any threat in all environments. For those that don't know, Black Box Security is a company that offers executive protection services for high-profile clients. Per their website, they work with high-profile musicians on world tours, actors on and off set, safeguard public speeches, escort VIPs and their families on business and leisure trips, and safeguard against kidnapping in remote locations. Their employees are selected from diverse military and special forces backgrounds, such as Israeli Security Agency, Israeli Defense Forces, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Army, and Navy SEALs. On the surface, it looks like some bad-arse military guys who go around and offer a secure environment for their clientele. The reality is that Black Box and other companies like them are employed by the handlers and contract holders of those musicians, actors, and other VIPs. What has been reported to go on behind closed doors offers a disturbing glimpse of control, abuse, and a mixture of Stasi tactics, psychological manipulation, and blackmail. The most famous story regarding this particular company involves Britney Spears. Britney was in a conservatorship under her father, Jamie Spears, who employed the services of Black Box Security to protect her. The following is just a few excerpts regarding what happened to her. The pop star's bedroom was bugged with an audio recording device that monitored her personal conversations at home. Robin Greenhill of TriStar Sports and Entertainment, who worked closely with Britney's father, Jamie Spears, wanted to mirror the singer's phone with an iPad hooked up to her iCloud account to track her text messages with friends. Alex Vlasov, a former employee of Black Box Security, described the restrictions placed on the pop star like a minor who needs their parents' consent. Once Vlasov began questioning Black Box's practices, he alleges that Yamini, the CEO of Black Box Security, took out his gun and placed it on his desk in front of Vlasov. "So you don't like how I run my business?" Vlasov claimed Yamini asked him. Vlasov claimed his bosses informed him that this responsibility was coming directly from the company's client. The client, he says, was Jamie. In short, we see a pattern of intimidation, manipulation, control, blackmail, and abuse in order to control the actions of another. Keep in mind the types of individuals that are employed by these companies. And this is hardly the only company out there that engages in this practice. We see a pattern of behavior and tactics used throughout the entertainment industry on certain individuals. This isn't the only example we have seen of this either. Kanye West. On November 3rd, 2022, the first news story started appearing regarding Kanye West and some text messages he received from his personal trainer, Harley Pasternak. They read like an ultimatum and threat from someone who supposedly was an employee to their employer. This is a tweet from Kanye's account. What should be obvious by now is that I was raised to stand for my truth regardless of the consequences. So I will say this again. I was mentally diagnosed and nearly drugged out of my mind to make me a manageable, well-behaved celebrity. And this is from his personal trainer. I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words. And everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. The second option, I have you institutionalized again where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same. That's the excerpt, one of the part of the excerpt I read above. Okay, some of the same. This is different. This is excerpt from the article down here from the Post Millennial. This is not the first time Pasternak has targeted West with mental health claims. What should be obvious by now is that I was raised to stand for my truth regardless of the consequences, Kanye wrote. So I will say this again. I was mentally misdiagnosed and nearly drugged out of my mind to make me a manageable, well-behaved celebrity. And I actually have the video ready to go right here, and enjoy.
My so-called friends slash handlers around me told me, like, if I said that I like Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
So I think Tucker Carlson summed this situation up perfectly in this video.
Midterm elections, there are a lot of celebrities out there campaigning for Democratic candidates all over the country. You probably saw them, actors, singers, TikTok personalities, all doing their part for the Democratic Party. You probably weren't surprised by this. It's normal. Pop culture figures always support Democrats. Every single one of them. But have you ever wondered why all of these supposedly creative people reach exactly the same conclusion every time? They're all on the same page. How could that happen? It's an interesting question. We don't know the answer, but you should consider what happened when one of the most famous singers in the world broke with the herd. On November 19th, 2016, a week and a half after Donald Trump won the presidential election, Kanye West, now known as Ye, held a concert in Sacramento. Most people in the audience were, of course, young people and presumably Hillary Clinton voters and presumably deeply disappointed by her loss a week and a half before. So in the middle of the show, West stopped performing and started talking about politics. Google lied to you, he said, by suggesting to its users that Hillary was going to win. Quote, Facebook lied to you. I'm not here to massage you with a fake truth telling you that Hillary's going to win over and over and over. You were lied to by Google. You were lied to by Mark Zuckerberg. Middle America, West continued, showed you how they felt. Well, at this point, some of the audience began to boo, but West kept going. He complimented Donald Trump repeatedly. At one point, he used the phrase, "Make America Great Again." It was, to put it mildly, not the kind of thing you normally hear at a rap concert. And then, 2 days later, Kanye West was in the hospital. Well, at the house of his family's exercise trainer, a man called Harley Pasternak, West apparently suffered some kind of mental break. Pasternak called an ambulance to pick him up. West was taken away, and then he was sedated with at least 7 different psychiatric medications, including benzodiazepines, lithium, sleeping pills, and olanzapine. News reports suggested that West had experienced a profound psychiatric episode. He'd gone completely off the deep end. He'd gone crazy, and they've been saying that ever since. West, over time, though, told a very different story. In his telling, after what he'd said on stage in Sacramento, Harley Pasternak was trying to shut him up. Pasternak, he said, was not simply a trainer, but instead an agent of ideological control. Pasternak's job was to keep West from straying from the script, and he was willing to use powerful drugs to do it. That's what he said. But very few people took that claim seriously. In fact, it was exactly the kind of thing a crazy person would say. My trainer drugged me into submission. He's trying to make me into a zombie. Right. Sure he did. Have another olanzapine shot, Kanye. You look tired. So that's where the story stood until the other day. Nobody believed Kanye West. Then West posted something remarkable on Twitter, which for some reason virtually all of American media ignored, which is odd because media outlets are not usually in the business of ignoring remarkable things, but they did. And what he posted was a picture of a text exchange that he had had with Harley Pasternak. Pasternak was explaining that West had better stop saying, quote, crazy stuff. In other words, he'd better get back on script, or else he would be severely punished. Quote, second option, if you don't shut up, quote, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you, and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same. End quote. Try if you can to imagine a more sinister threat than that, a more chilling threat than that. Do what I say or I will turn your brain to mush. I will destroy your relationship with your own children. I will send you back to, quote, zombie land forever. Effectively, I'll kill you. Now keep in mind, this is from West's, quote, trainer, not his physician. This is the guy he'd hired to help him do squats. A trainer? Really? Do they talk like that at your gym? Probably not. So what's going on here exactly? Well, according to his bio, Harley Pasternak, who is not denied writing these texts, once worked for the Canadian military, where he participated in experiments that measured the effect of various drugs on the human mind. Is that training relevant to this story? We don't know. We do know that based on this text exchange, which again, Harley Pasternak has not said is untrue or fake, on the basis of that, law enforcement agencies definitely ought to be looking very closely at Harley Pasternak, who, by the way, apparently has dozens of other celebrity clients, some of whom seem to be out there campaigning. Based on these texts, this looks like a crime. Why is no one investigating it? The fact that no one is investigating it tells you a lot.
Okay. Where we left off, if these tactics can be used against individuals in the entertainment industry, could they be employed against groups of individuals? Could they be used to influence a situation towards a specific goal? And this is a quote from Tucker. Have you ever wondered why all of these supposedly creative people reach exactly the same conclusion every time? They are all on the same page. How could that happen? It's an interesting question, and yes, it is. So now, the case of Harvey Weinstein. In the fall of 2016, Harvey Weinstein set out to suppress allegations that he had sexually harassed or assaulted numerous women. He began to hire private security agencies to collect information on the women and the journalists trying to expose the allegations. According to dozens of pages of documents and 7 people directly involved in the effort, the firms that Weinstein hired included Kroll, which is one of the world's largest corporate intelligence companies, and Black Cube, an enterprise run largely by former officers of Mossad and other Israeli intelligence agencies. And that was out of the New Yorker. So just what lengths will companies like Black Cube go to? And this document is the research team. For the duration of the project, Black Cube will allocate a dedicated team of expert intelligence officers that will operate in the USA and any other necessary country. A project manager with specific experience in managing similar business intelligence projects. The project manager will be in charge of building the research plan, managing the team, allocating resources, scheduling, and presenting results to the client. Intelligence analysts, experts in web-based data gathering and database access, social networks, and pattern analysis. A full-time agent by the name of Anna, hereinafter the agent, who will be based in New York and Los Angeles as per the client's instructions and who will be available full-time to assist the client and his attorneys for the next 4 months, commencing on the date of this letter of engagement. Said agent can utilize the services of Black Cube as the coordinator. D. An investigative journalist as per the client request, hereinafter the journalist. E. Avatar operators, experts in relevant media analysis and relations in all available social networks. F. Linguists for all relevant languages, including English. And G. Operations experts and extensive experience in social engineering. This is also from the New Yorker. Intelligence analysts, undercover agents, avatar operators, linguists, and operations experts. What is an avatar operator? According to this Wired article about private espionage, avatar operators are experts in social media who specialize in creating fake Facebook pages, LinkedIn profiles, and the like for field operatives. An avatar is defined as a fictitious persona that, unlike a bot, an automated account active on one network, has a complex digital identity. It is operated in a cyborg manner on a number of platforms without detection. That is from this article, Haaretz, The People Who Kill the Truth. 2 sources with knowledge of Weinstein's work with Black Cube said the firm creates fictional companies to provide cover for its operatives. This is also from the New Yorker. Fake companies complete with fake websites, fake phone numbers, and fake addresses. Fake online profiles to fit their fake narrative for their fake personas. What was the price for such services? $200,000 with $300,000 as a bonus if certain goals were met. They weren't. The companies behind this. You can't just open up a web browser and search for disinformation for hire, Mossad for hire, or dark PR firms and find a list of companies near me. Many of these companies pass themselves off as a social engineering firm or PR-based firms. Some websites say they specialize in OSINT, intelligence agencies, or social media influence. Most of them are based in Israel. which could arguably be called the intelligence capital of the world. Many are hiding behind fake LLCs. One thing is for certain. When you start uncovering the names of these companies, you start realizing just how lucrative of a business this industry is. There is another thing you will notice. When one company gets reported on, it is often dissolved and reformed as another company. Here is just a sample of the company names that I found that were engaged in this type of business. Archimedes Group, Black Cube, Bravo Idea, Bulldozer Holdings Limited, Cambridge Analytica, Cat@Net, Gray Content Limited, HB Gary Federal, KOI, KS Process and Software Limited, NSO Group, Pragmatico, Psycor, S2T Unlocking Cyberspace, Team Jorge, and Voyager Labs. Something else came up which might be noteworthy. I noticed that some of these companies' names were leaked in the Panama Papers. And these are just a few graphics that are showing how they are connected. The Panama Papers. If you've never heard of the Panama Papers, here's your crash course. In 2016, 11.5 million leaked documents were published. In these papers were the names of over 214,000 foreign companies, some of which date back to the 1970s. The Panama Papers was the biggest data leak ever, bigger than WikiLeaks even, and the repercussions from this leak are still being felt. There are still being articles and arrests happening because of this. The documents originated from a law firm called Mossack Fonseca, which just happened to be the fourth largest firm in the world. What they detailed was a trail of political corruption which was being exhibited around the world and the dark money accompanying it through the use of offshore accounts. In other words, they detail a lot of financial fraud along with tax evasion and the avoidance of a lot of sanctions and the law. If you want to read more about these leaks, then I would start here. And I will be linking all of these in the description, doobly-doo, at the bottom of the video. Dark services. You might be looking at this point and wondering what this has to do with the MAGA movement. So far, we have discussed attacks on individuals and using manipulation and coercion to influence that targeted individual. But what happens when you target a grassroots movement? Let's look at what we actually know is being offered as services to clients first, and then question whether the MAGA movement and individuals within the MAGA movement has indeed been targeted. Active intelligence is defined as engaging with targets not solely for passive intel collection, but also creating actionable intel. For example, a target can not only be hacked, but messages can be sent on his or her behalf, thus extracting more information. Let's say you want your school to win a national competition. Well, you can hire a black PR firm to generate votes online. That happened in Taiwan. In 2011, singers from schools across Taiwan competed in a popular TV competition. Peng's alma mater won. Its performer received more than 41 million online votes, almost twice the Taiwanese population. A school official confirmed to the reporter that the school had requested help from Peng in the competition, but declined to comment further. This was from BuzzFeed. How about make Vladimir Zelensky seem popular? Ukraine's young new president, Vladimir Zelensky, hailed in the West as an ambitious reformer, is an enthusiastic social media user, deploying his popular Instagram and Facebook accounts to reach large audiences during his recent election campaign. But according to a recent investigation by Vox Ukraine, Zelensky's Facebook page had the most active fake users of any Ukrainian politician. 27,926 inauthentic accounts. They posted almost a quarter of all comments during the period analyzed. Similar ratios were seen for other top politicians. Forged letters from the NAACP to politicians? The American Clean and Security Act of 2009 was meant to curb greenhouse gas emissions, which apparently didn't sit too well with opponents of climate change. Representative Tom Perriello, a Democrat from Virginia, received letters from both the NAACP and Hispanic nonprofit Crescendo Juntos asking him to vote against the bill for economic reasons. My Spanish isn't too good. It turned out that the lobbyist firm Bonner and Associates, which has a history of astroturfing and defrauding the government, had fabricated the letters from the letterhead to the signatures. The very similar looking letters can still be found online. And this is from a Business Insider opinion piece. Fake excitement over McDonald's Quarter Pounder. The release of the Quarter Pounder in Japan was a pretty big deal, judging by the size of the crowds. In fact, it was record-setting day for the McDonald's in Osaka. As it turns out, McDonald's had recruited 1,000 part-time employees to line up, starting at midnight before the store even opened, and generate buzz for the burger. The customers, in quotes, were paid for their time and had their meal compensated. McDonald's admitted to the ploy, but said it was part of a customer feedback from market research. The employees were paid roughly $11 an hour for their work, also from Business Insider. Fake excitement for book sales, tank the sales of another book, fake protests, fake interest, stage photo ops for the news, fake news sites and news stories in order to discredit an opponent, fake political donations in order to discredit someone, fake online personalities and their followers, start hashtag campaigns, bury an unfavorable news story, promote another, fake friendships in order to get insider information or to sabotage an effort, build profiles of online personalities, send threats to opposition, harass others, artificially inflate the value of cryptocurrency, create deepfake photos in order to discredit someone, send sex toys to someone's house in order to create a fake sex scandal and affair. Yes, this actually happened. Create enough chaos to start a civil war or civil unrest, steal an election. The list really does go on and on. There isn't a job too big or too small for these companies as long as the price is right. And it isn't limited to online activity or just social media. It oftentimes bleeds into reality. Hack and leak is defined as a type of influence operation that involves breaking into and leaking a target's personal information, emails, and documents. In some cases, the material is tampered with. By the way, in case you were wondering, the cost to delay an election in a small country is $6.4 million. In one of the meetings, Maidan from Team Jorge suggested destabilizing Chad as a means to delay the election. In another meeting, the advisors explained that there may be an explosion in a market in the capital. Nijamina to discuss the postponement. They did not deter Jorge, who asked for 6 million euros or $6.4 million to see the campaign through. This is an article from Haaretz. The methods and tools used. The broader notion of deception and influence operations has been around for some time, but over the past several years, we have seen companies grow up that basically build their business model around deception. Now, I have the video pulled from this Guardian article, and we will just get right into it.
Shalom Aleichem. Shalom. Bruchim Abayim, Jorge. My name is Jorge. George is the nickname, and I don't have a name. You saw what it said on the door, right?
No.
It says nothing. It says nothing.
My name is nothing.
That's who we are. We are nothing.
This is Tal Hanan, the mastermind behind Team Jorge, a covert unit that specializes in hacking and disinformation. For 2 decades, Hanan's real identity has remained secret. He operates in the shadows using an alias, Jorge. Now, a joint investigation by The Guardian and Forbidden Stories can reveal who he is, where he's worked, and how he manipulates elections for money. So the disinformation industry is a relatively new phenomenon which effectively distorts reality and spreads online propaganda. It is usually done by states themselves or by mercenaries for hire who work for private clients or for governments themselves. Almost always this is done covertly. To expose this disinformation unit, reporters went undercover as prospective clients who wanted to delay an election in Africa. In 6 hours of secretly recorded meetings, Hanan and his Israel-based team were filmed demonstrating their services.
Open source, cyber, special operations, intelligence.
Hanan has corporate and political clients and boasts about past and present jobs.
33 presidential level campaigns we have completed, 27 of which were successful.
One of Team Jorge's secret tools is a piece of software called AIMS, which weaponizes social media.
I'll show you why our system is considered by the type of client that buy it.
We have thousands of profiles. Each and every one of them multi-layered. It means they have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube channel and Telegram and whatever you want.
Hanan's team control an army of more than 30,000 bots. A bot is effectively a social media account that pretends to be human but isn't human. It's being controlled through automation. Team Jorge's bots or avatars are by far one of the most sophisticated that we've ever seen. The bots are multi-layered and have corresponding accounts on several other platforms, much like a human being does, which is why when you look at it initially, it does appear to be a real person.
Let's make one candidate together. Isla Sawyer, let's say I don't like the name, it's not Hope. Sophie Wilde, I like the name, British. Already she has email, date of birth, everything. Now I want to put an image set.
I'm searching for her pictures. Let's see. No, I don't like it.
Where are you getting the pictures
She
from?
doesn't look Canadian. I'm not going to tell you. I have to kill you later. I don't want to do that, you know. Then we have to trash your body in the flats.
Our investigation pointed to Team Jorge's work in countries all over the world. Team Jorge also claim they can hack Telegram and Gmail.
This is live, right? We're live with this target. If I write him now, he might answer.
We can see his files he's keeping on his drive.
We don't know exactly how Hanan does the hack, but he claims to be exploiting vulnerabilities in the global signaling system SS7. The Guardian has been leaked emails in which Hanan quotes fees of between $400,000 and $600,000. They also confirm that Team Jorge worked covertly on the Nigerian presidential election in 2015. Our investigation has exposed this hidden underworld of disinformation operations. So the next time you're scrolling through your phone or casting a ballot, ask yourself what information you're acting on and who's really behind it.
Team Jorge's services include hacking messaging apps and email accounts, planting materials in compromised accounts, hack and leak of real or forged material, army of online avatars, fake accounts for social media manipulation, voter suppression and election disruption, and undermining election results with Stop the Steal style campaigns. Every influence operation has 3 stages: gathering intelligence, constructing a narrative, and deploying for maximum impact. That's according to Haaretz. Some of the companies use software, sophisticated AI, and cyborgs, which is a cross between AI and human interaction. Others use cheap human labor. And this is a wonderful graphic displaying that. One thing is for certain, they build profiles on their targets, identify who to attack, come up with a game plan to attack, and deploy it. Sometimes this looks like simple harassment and smear campaigns. Other times, these forms of attacks are much more sophisticated. The aim is to get an emotional reaction from a person, Biden said in an interview. If they read a comment, even if they understand that it was written by a bot, it could have affected them emotionally, and it becomes more difficult for them to control themselves. This is from a BuzzFeed article. These actions don't always stay online. Sometimes agents were hired to go undercover. Other times, crowds were hired to stage a protest or create the illusion of one. Actors were often employed. Anything that could be faked to create the illusion of the new reality would be. We also identified real-world targets that appeared to have been staged to provide ammunition that could be leveraged in social media campaigns. One case involved a fake protest staged outside a company headquarters on Regent Street, central London. 3 masked activists in baseball caps, sunglasses, and masks filmed themselves waving placards. A similar leafletting campaign was staged near the Eiffel Tower in Paris before being circulated on social media by Ames bots. It is not possible to know who the clients were in any of the campaigns or even what their objective was. However, what seems clear is that the avatars peddling propaganda are doing so with the help of stolen photographs of real people. This is from The Guardian. It wasn't always to create a false narrative either. Sometimes these tactics were developed to destroy real reactions. How do you destroy an authentic movement? What if our efforts were being actively sabotaged? New tools for an old playbook. Could there have been a concerted effort to keep election integrity from happening, to keep conservatives from organizing effectively, and to stop efforts to fix our country from succeeding? What if there was a playbook that already spelled out how to do this? What if these tactics weren't anything new? What if they were in fact actually from another era and used against another political group? After the East German popular uprising of June 1953, suppressed by Soviet troops, the government gave the Stasi the task of systematic surveillance and prevention of unrest in the population. Initially, this took the form of brutal physical repression, imprisonment, and physical abuse, including torture, by police and secret police. But this changed during the 1970s when the GDR became more interested in gaining a positive international image and the repression of activists became more subtle. The Stasi redefined the military term Zerstörung, attrition or corrosion, to name their harassment tactics, and my German isn't too good either, you can tell. To name their harassment tactics, the aim was to disrupt the working of groups and the lives of individuals to such a degree that their activism became ineffective or, more preferably, ceased altogether. The aim of the Zerstörung was to switch off the group by rendering it ineffective, with an interim goal of hindering any positive media or public exposure. The usual ways to switch groups off were to create conflict between members. Particularly useful subjects for sowing discord were those of a philosophical or political nature, money, and personal relations. Hinder and sabotage activities by the use of one or more infiltrators who would agree to do tasks but not get around to doing them. Lose materials and equipment. Repeatedly request changes and further edits of materials to slow down production. Attempt to divert the group into more harmless activities, etc. Isolate the group from other activists. Example, by spreading rumors regarding unacceptable behavior and political views, etc. The choice of tactics in any particular case was based on extensive psychological profiling and intelligence of one on the group members, particularly who plays what role, who fulfills what kind of task, what are relationships within the group like, who hangs out with whom. And this was a Max Hertzberg, Spies, Crimes, and Hope Punk, Stasi Tactics, Zerstörung. Does any of this feel familiar to anyone? Have you noticed these patterns within the MAGA movement? The Stasi used operational psychology and its extensive network of between 170,000 and over 500,000 informal collaborators to launch personalized psychological attacks against the targets to damage their mental health and lower chances of a hostile action against the state. Among the collaborators were youths as young as 14 years of age. And this was from Wikipedia. A mixture of tools. And then we have the useful idiot. In political jargon, a useful idiot is a term currently used to reference a person perceived as propagandizing for a cause, particularly a bad cause originating from devious, ruthless source. Without fully comprehending the cause's goals, and who is cynically being used by the cause's leaders, the term was often used during the Cold War to describe non-communists regarded as susceptible to communist propaganda and manipulation. If the election was stolen, would it make sense for plans to be made to keep that from being discovered and effectively reversed? Do you honestly think their plans stopped at just stealing an election? It wouldn't be enough to just steal it. They had to keep it after it was stolen. How do you think the powers that be would take this? How far do you think this rabbit hole could go? Part 2, coming soon. You didn't think they were going to bring the sauce, did you? Would like to thank anybody who tuned in. Hopefully you like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and like the video and share it with friends, family, and whoever else, even normies. We need eyes on this. So, till next time, see ya.